The following is a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club.
The final round has been played, but it's not over yet at the 2021 U.S. Juniors and Senior Championships here in St. Louis. With a forced draw, Annie Wang sealed her victory as the junior girls champion, and Hans Niemann was able to cap his fantastic tournament with the U.S. junior title. But a draw was not enough for Gregory Kaidanov to stave off a charging Larry Christensen. The epic battle for the 2021 U.S. Senior crown coming up next.
Hello everybody and welcome to Playoff Monday. I'm your host Sharon Carpenter, here with Grandmaster Yasser Seirawan. Yasser, good to see you.
Sharon, a pleasure as always. It's been so much fun calling the action with you.
So much fun. Now, we crowned two champions yesterday. The Senior Championship still up for grabs. It's going to be a clash of the titans, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes, it is. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live coverage of Playoff Monday. Gregory Kaidanov started the tournament with 2 wins, a draw, and then a hat trick. He led from start to finish, but he stumbled at the very end, losing in the penultimate round, drawing in the championship round, allowing one, Larry Christensen, to tie with him for first. And today, these two gladiators will play for the Senior Championship of the United States.
It's going to be big. Now, before we get into playoff details, let's head upstairs to Christian for the drawing of colors.
In the playing hall with Chief Arbiter Brian Yang and the two competitors, Larry Christensen and Gregory Kaidanov, ready to do the drawing of colors. Chief Arbiter, please explain to us the procedures.
Hi, good afternoon. So in each one of my hands has a pawn. One is white, one is black. And so the player that will be choosing which hand is the one that had the highest invitational rating. So that will be Gregory. Could you please pick one hand? All right, you have white for the first game, and this is black. So.
And there you have it, guys. Gregory is going to start with the white pieces in game number 1. Back to you in the studio.
Okay, so Gregory's got the white for game number 1. Here's how the playoffs are going to go down. All right.
There will be a 2-game rapid match. Each game will be 10 minutes per player with a 2-second delay. Let me repeat that, a 2-second delay, not an increment. If after the 2 games where the players alternate colors, the match is still undecided, they will go to a single Armageddon game.
Exactly. This is how Armageddon works. 5 minutes for white, 4 minutes for black. Black wins with a draw. Now, Gregory starting with the whites. Is he feeling good about that?
A lot of people have very strong different opinions.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to start with the black pieces, imagining themselves holding the draw and winning with white. Now, if you start with the black pieces and you lose with the black pieces, then it's easier to come back in a must-win game and win with the white pieces. In principle, I prefer black at the start.
You do.
But it's a little bit dodgy. I understand the other side of the coin as well, Sharon.
Let's talk about the games that got us here in the first place. It was a draw for Gregory on round 9. It was a must-win for Larry, and he pulled through. We were a little unsure there. There was a little back and forth. Is it going to be a draw or a win? He ended up snagging the victory. Here's Gregory's how he got here, actually.
Yeah,
okay.
The line score was, like, as I said, 2 victories at the start,
Yeah.
a draw in round 3.
Exactly. Round 4, the beginning of a hat trick right there. 4, 5, and 6, a slam dunk.
Yeah, but look at the finish. He only scores 1 out of 3 in games 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
Comparatively speaking, Larry was streaking, I want to say, at the very end.
No defeats for Larry. So
Undefeated.
a win on round number 1, followed by 2 draws.
2 wins, not a hat trick, but a very nice way to start the rest day, which was immediately after round 5.
Yeah, followed by 3 draws, and then the big one.
Yes, he plays James Tarjan in a must-win situation, and he pulls it out. Exactly 50 years ago, in 1971, Larry Christensen and James Tarjan, you're not going to believe this, played in a U.S. Junior Championship.
Really?
I did not
50
kidding.
years ago,
50
pretty
years
much
earlier.
to this day.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
And Christian, welcome. It's been so much fun calling the action. Now we got playoffs. It's a different animal.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm very excited. I was upstairs. I was feeling the nerves of the players. Larry was talkative. He was chatting with me a little bit, talking about the upcoming tournaments here at the St. Louis Chess Club. He was just trying to, get rid of his nerves. Gregory was much more secluded, somewhere in the corner of the room, waiting for the games to begin. So let's see what's going to happen. But the nerves, man, you can feel them upstairs.
You can feel the tension, can you?
Yeah.
Wow. And it looks like, is Larry doing his stretches, his usual stretches that he always
doing
does
something.
before?
He likes putting his hands behind his back. He was a polo swimmer, and he's always enjoyed polo and water sports. But
Let's take a closer look at these 2 players, starting with Larry, 65 years old, from Massachusetts, with a USCF rating of 2634. He's been a US champion 3 times over, the last time in 2002.
1980, 83, 2002, as you said, but also U.S. junior champion on numerous occasions. And how about Gregory?
And Gregory, his big competition today. 61 years old, from Kentucky, a rating of 26-26. He played for the US team in 6 World Chess Olympiads, and now this is a new one for him.
Seeking his first national title. For me, that's an extraordinary line at the very bottom. I've known Greg, seriously, for the last 30 years, maybe even a little bit longer, but he has always been a great stalwart of not only the U.S. Olympic teams, but also many, many U.S. championships. The very idea that he has not won a national title
is
shocking, especially because I really feel very strongly that Gregory belongs in the World Chess Hall of Fame, and he is in the World Chess Hall of Fame. So the idea that he's not been the national champion, or even, the continental champion, or some kind of America's champion, he's won a lot of opens, but never are these closed competitions. Pretty extraordinary, Christian.
Absolutely, and you know that he's seeking that title. The pressure is on his shoulders. In my opinion, Larry is already used to winning these national championships. He has been in this position before in his lifetime. Gregory, he has not been yet, so I think that will impact his nerves a little bit. I'm still having Gregory as the favorite in this one, mostly because of what Larry mentioned yesterday. He's so tough to beat in the opening, and with very short time control, those openings, the value of those openings is just quantifiable.
Okay, you're going for Larry, of course. Christian's going for Gregory. Who should it be? Who should it be for me? I'm going with Gregory. I'm going to go with Gregory. I think he wants this really badly, and I mean, he has been the lead from beginning to end. I think he definitely has it in him. What's going to be interesting, though, of course, this is rapid chess, not classical chess, which is what they're used to. I know Larry said this is something a little different for him. He's a little uncomfortable with the rapid chess. I wonder how Gregory will fare.
Yeah, this is the point, that classical chess is its own discipline. Rapid chess, this 10-minute game, very, very different. Time management, all kinds of things about that. And Larry actually likes classical and bullet. Bullet is 1 minute, so he's like at the extremes. He loves bullet. Now, the thing for me, though, Gregory does not practice blitz. He doesn't practice rapids, as far as I'm aware. So he may feel like, oh man, this title This is not my game. Jump in, Christian. What's your view on Gregory's rapid skills? And by the way, they
I'm
are
not
off.
very much aware of these players and how they fare usually in short time controls. Now that you're telling me that Larry is very good in bullet, well, I believe you because you know these players, yes.
Yeah.
What I do know is that Gregory has a lot of students. So what he does, he practices at least his openings very frequently. I don't think Larry does that as often. So Larry's main weapon, at least at the beginning, is going to try to be to escape the opening preparation of Gregory. That's the way I see it. If he manages to do that, then he's probably going to be the favorite.
What kind of game is Gregory looking for versus what Larry might be trying to embrace? When you say escape the openings,
Theoretical.
is it because...
Theoretical.
Okay.
Gregory is looking for a theoretical battle right now. And he played this move knight to f3, and we have bishop to b4.
Check.
And we're expecting the move knight to d, bishop to d2. Okay.
Bogo Indian with queen e7 has been a long-held variation by defense that Larry has played. Sharon?
Does rapid bring out a different set of skills from a player?
To my mind, the answer is an absolute, unqualified, big yes. Because in rapid, it's almost this combination of playing very quickly, managing your time, but also being extraordinarily alert to the tactics in the position, because you have to be able to calculate very quickly and manage your time. We've seen in the U.S. Junior Championship how very difficult it is to manage your time properly.
And I'm sure more mistakes happen when
Absolutely.
you're under this type of time constraint.
And this is
No
what we're
question.
seeing right now. 9 minutes and 50 seconds for Gregory, and less than 9 minutes for Larry.
I think both players are very aware of the clock, and both players want to stay within the contact zone of one another. In other words, they don't want to fall 2 or 3 minutes behind their opponent. And by the way, they're playing this Bogo Indian. Efim Bogolyubov was a player from the 1930s and 40s, and he liked the defense that Larry is playing, hence the name, the Bogolyubov Indian. Nobody can say Bogolyubov, so we say Bogo Indian. And ooh, Gregory, okay, that move is a real verrassing, a surprise move for me, because essentially Gregory is attacking the c7 pawn, and Larry's saying, I'm going to move my c7 pawn and attack your knight. Is your knight going to eat? It is. The knight is on a journey from whence there is no escape. But Gregory is playing just as you described it, Christian, as, you know, can Larry withstand the opening prep? And this looks like some opening prep. Is it valid?
This knight to b5 is an opening wrinkle that we have seen before in some very top level games. It did feel like Larry was ready, at least partially, for it. Knight to b5, he played c6 immediately. Knight to c7, rook to a7, now queen to b3. This game
Hitting
has
the b6
been seen.
pawn?
Exactly, hitting the d6 pawn. And now it's going to be that battle between, okay, you're threatening that d6 pawn.
Right.
What I'm going to try to do is put pressure on your knight on c7.
Clear.
But the question is, how are you going to do that? Now, one way to
Exactly.
do that is to simply wait for white to take on b6, because once that happens, you're going to have moves such as a rook to a6. So let's see what he's going to do in this position.
So let's say I start with the move bishop c8 and follow what you were saying. Put pressure on the knight on c7.
Bishop to c8, I think d6 is the main move and might be the only one right now. So d6 to cut the action of that bishop on f4.
D6?
To the knight, d6, exactly.
And if, well,
The
as you
point
say,
being-
the protection is cut.
Exactly.
I have to take.
Once you take, I'm going to go knight to d7.
Knight to David 7.
Exactly.
I'm going to take the rook.
You're going to take the rook, and
You're
I'm
gonna
going
take
to
my
take
knight.
on c7. And now I'm going to threaten the move rook to a8, trap the queen, right?
Clear.
So you have to find an escape.
Right.
The only escape seems to be to play the move d5.
Okay.
D5. And right now, by the way, Larry is on a minute and a half think in a rapid game. He is falling behind on the clock. He has 6 minutes and 30 seconds versus 9 minutes and 20 seconds. That's a big time difference.
Exactly. And as I was saying at the very start, I think, Sharon, neither of these players want to get significantly behind on the clock. B5. Whoa.
Big surprise there.
Yeah, that move looks a little bit wrong. Jump in, Christian. Is
Not
that
the move. Not the move.
That
White
was
is already
not
winning.
the move.
White
I
is
don't
winning.
like the move
B standing
B5.
for blunder right there, potentially.
Yeah, well, that means that first of all, after the move B5 is played by Larry, instantly Gregory said, well, thank you very much. I can spot a free pawn. I can take the pawn, and the knight would be free if the pawn was recaptured. And in that case, then, yeah, Larry's just going to be a pawn. Oh, Larry had a nasty trick. He just played the move A5, A4, attacking the queen.
That is perfectly normal, and I will actually have a lot of options right now after A4. I can go with a move Queen to E3, and after you take on B5, I'm not even forced to take back on B5. I can wait with that knight takes B5 move and start with a move D5, exactly, attacking the queen and the knight at the same time.
That's the old
If
double
Gregory,
attack.
If Gregory
Finds queen
finds
E3.
queen to E3, the game is almost over.
I think so too, and he's reaching for his queen. This looks like some absolutely superb preparation, opening preparation. Ooh,
Queen to
he played
C2.
queen
That's
C2.
probably good as well.
It does tickle the knight, but I love that move Queen E3 with a hidden X-ray. We thought that Queen E3, this hidden X-ray attack against the rook, was the way for Gregory to go. He went Queen C2, attacking the knight on C2, attacking the knight on E4 at once. Also looks very strong.
Let's be honest, a pawn up, this
Good
is
position.
exactly what Gregory could have dreamed of.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
right now he's in pole position to take this one. He's also 3 minutes up on time. He cannot have hoped for a better outcome out of the opening.
No
and this is
question.
exactly what we were expecting. Gregory is going to push the pace in terms of theoretical knowledge. And
Right.
Larry was aware of that. I think going into these very topical lines maybe was not the right approach, the right strategy for Larry. Let's see how he fares.
Sharon.
Now, these two did face off on round 7, and it ended up being a draw.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Larry was white, and Larry really needed to win at that exact moment in the tournament. And Gregory rebuffed him with simply some superb preparation as black. Larry got nothing with the white pieces. It was a draw, and at that point, pretty much, I was rather convinced that, well, Gregory was going to win the tournament based on the outcome of that game. Let me just catch up a bit with the player. I'm going to just here, take. Oops, he didn't play that. That was after Queen B3, pardon me. I'm just catching up with the players. B5 takes, A4, Queen C2, takes, knight takes. And here I thought Gregory would just slide his rook over to the open file. He actually played knight E4, a common strategical theme in this particular line of the Bogo Indian. Gregory is hoovering the pieces off the board, but maybe he had a little bit more advantage than what he's cashed in his chips a little early, Christian?
Well, still plenty of advantage, right, for white that is, but I do understand what you're saying, especially right now. Wait a minute. So Queen to B6 just came on the board. We're seeing Larry potentially taking his pawn back.
Exactly.
On B2.
And if he's successful in that, and I don't think you want to play knight c7 in this case, then Larry will be very close to restoring equality. So in other words, from a very big advantage, we think Gregory has let it slip significantly.
He has, indeed.
Knight c3 on the board. What? Oh, that's a tempo. I beg your pardon. I was like, Larry, take the pawn. But Larry is developing his knight. attacking the pawn on d4, and that pawn on b2 for the moment is not running away. I like this move, knight c6. And
Larry's back in business.
He's back in town, yeah.
Look how quickly that can happen.
Right, the advantage shifted very, pardon the pun, rapidly, and that's what rapid chess does. The advantage can sometimes almost feel like a hot potato as the players go back and forth, and queen takes b2.
To be honest, right now,
equalizing.
I'm even considering black as probably being the favorite just because of the active pieces he has. That queen on b2 is very unpleasant for the moment. It could be a potential target for my rooks. Nevertheless, it's also limiting the action and the mobility of the knight on c3 of the rooks as well. So I'm starting to like black.
Well, for the moment, I still see that ideas. I've got a very big idea on the board, Christian. I want to play the move rook b1. When I play the move rook b1 and the queen goes back to a3, I could try to play queen d6. And I think Larry is reaching for his queen. Yes, I was about to suggest for Larry that he bring his queen all the way back to b8, offer a trade of queens, and oh, d5 is hanging. I beg your pardon, I'm getting this all wrong. Queen b7, because there is a hidden threat of knight takes d5, attacking the knight, a discovered attack with the rook against the knight on c6. Hence, we saw the move queen a6. Still feeling that Larry is for choice, or
It
even?
feels very even right now.
Even, for me too.
And perhaps once we finish this game, I will point to you a very nice tactic that Larry actually had. He was winning.
What?
He was winning in one move, not queen to b7. I will show it to you after the game, because right now the players are playing extremely fast.
Exactly, knight to b5.
He had a golden opportunity. Nevertheless, I still like what Larry is doing. And let's see, what does the time looks like right now? 355 seconds for Larry.
Yeah,
And
and
it seems like
550, almost
550
6
for Gregory.
So Gregory has a nice advantage on time. It was that move after queen b3. I think it was the 1.5, 2 minute thing over the move b5, which actually turned out to be a bad move.
And just a reminder, there's a 2-second delay. It's no increment
Exactly.
in this game.
Very, very different from what the players are used to. The players are used to getting that 30-second bonus for each and every move they made, as we saw in the championship, the classical chess. Here, the 2-second delay means count it.
Yeah.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and then the clock begins to count down.
Yeah.
After this queen trade, we're now in a double rook, knight ending. Larry can take off one pair of rooks and offer the other pair. But notice that Larry, he actually has not made luft on the king side, which means potentially the back rank is weak, and it could cost Larry a tempo to release his king while g3 is on the board. Think Gregory still for choice?
And we still we see that rook swap on the b1.
And I'm thinking
Just
this
3 minutes now
yeah,
for Larry.
this knight on d6 has got to go. This knight is really a thorn, and Larry heard me. Rook to d8. Get out of here, he says. That knight is bothering me. And had white the time to play rook to b7, it would have bothered him a whole lot. Now knight to b7. Whoa. Knight to b7 by Gregory, putting himself in a self-pin. With the move rook c1, essentially this is a draw offer. I see this as a draw offer, as Gregory recognizes that his advantage, which he possessed earlier in the game, is now completely gone. And Larry's going to play a move like g5 and or h5, and he's done g5. I think that's the most accurate move for the position. And our first game was eventful, Sharon. It looks like it's heading for a draw, but okay, they'll
So
play
if
for
it's a
something.
draw, then doesn't that mean that...
Larry will come with the white pieces for the second game, and he will have, well, let's see if he can
Yeah,
it will be
whoever
all
wins that
decisive.
second game
Exactly.
could be the big winner, if not Armageddon.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm sure it must work to Larry's benefit, being that he's a great blitz player. I mean, if you're working with 1 minute,
Yes.
Not
versus-
and
not-
they shook hands.
G4, I draw
there we
agree.
go.
Now you have me on pins and needles. Don't keep me waiting, Christian. You said Larry missed a golden opportunity at that moment he played Queen B7. What was it?
Well, in this position, I was feeling like White's pieces are not yet finding the right position. And indeed, they are tangled up, and after knight to b4, threatening this move, knight to d3, you're in big, big trouble as White. You don't have a lot of ways out. Also, another very strong, potent idea is to put the pawn on a3 and then work around this connection. Try to destabilize the connection between the rook and the knight. This is key. If you move with the knight, then you're going to lose the pawn on a2. If you move with the rook, obviously, you're going to lose the knight on a3. So, for example, if you play something along the lines
That's the most obvious
rook
move.
a to b1, now I'm going to keep my queen in your position on d2. You cannot
Gotcha.
chase it around, because once you play rook to d1, well, you're losing the piece, right? So that's a problem. You have to get out of this knight to d3 big threat. So pretty much the only way to do that is to go e4, but after queen takes f4, g takes f4, knight to d3. Well, right now I'm going to pick up a pawn. I'm going to have the more active position. And this one is just simply looking very, very bad for White. That is, I can even take on e4 first and then take on f4. So for example, if you do something like this, I can take on e4, you take back, I take on f4. I have a pawn up, the better structure. You have 3 weaknesses that are going to play a very important role in the endgame. The position is just simply losing, technically losing for White. So knight to b4, that big move by Black, which unfortunately for Larry didn't see it. But nevertheless, he's probably not going to go back to his engine to check what he missed. He's just going to be relieved that he survived this opening preparation by Gregory, because that was beautiful. That queen, knight to b5, knight to c7, that intrusion with the knight in Black's camp, and then queen to b3. Wow, Gregory was in pole position to win this one, and he must be disappointed with the final result.
So Sharon, that was a kind of a game that exemplified the advantages of both players that have Gregory's great opening preparation, Larry's extraordinary resilience.
Yeah, awesome. Exciting to see. How do you guys feel about commentating on a rapid game? Is it more exciting to you than classical chess?
It's
or?
really so fast-paced that we really can't, we only kind of like polish the surface.
Yeah,
you
you
can't drill a little bit deeper because the moves are coming so rapidly. So we kind of like surf.
Skim the surface. You skim the surface.
Over. We've had 3 national championships.
Yes, we have. This is the final one, and we will be crowning a senior champ today. But yesterday,
We had a ladies champion,
yes,
Sharon.
we did. Annie Wang. Both of you were behind Annie all the way. Our top spot, our champion in 2021, taking $3,000 and a $10,000 scholarship as well from the Dwayne Barber and US Chess.
Yes, she did, but she was pushed all the way by Ru Yang Yan, and the other competitors in the tournament kept the pressure on Annie. She responded. And in the juniors,
And Hans Niemann, who
Your
I was
pick.
back in my pick, yes, taking that $6,000 prize and the title of junior champion.
and look at that tie for second. There were wolves nipping at his heels.
And
My
a lot
pick,
of them.
Nicholas Cheka, came in second. All of the people who tied first got $2,340. Excuse me. Also, of course, Hans gets a seating in the 2022 U.S. Championships.
He's really excited about that, isn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And is. And as well as that $10,000 scholarship from the Dwayne Barber Foundation and U.S. Chess Trust.
And it
as
was
you were
lucky
mentioning.
for him that David Brodsky and Praveen, it was a draw for them.
Exactly.
And once Hans saw that, he was like, I'm good to go. You just saw the smile on his face, still in the midst of his game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's what the seniors are playing for, by the way.
All right, so yeah, Gregory and Larry battling it out on a quick break right now before round 2 of their rapid game.
I do believe it's more or less a 15-minute break between the finish of game 1 and start of game 2, so we've got a little things to talk about.
Yeah.
Had Gregory won clear first, he would have got $12,000, and I think it was like a $9,000 prize. So I think that they're actually splitting the prize funds first and second. I think so. But it's all about the national title as well, as we saw, you know, in those matchups of the players. Gregory
Especially for Gregory,
won.
because he's never had one.
I feel that whoever wins today, I know it sounds cliche, but I feel that they're coming away winners. If Gregory wins, you just kind of smile and say, bravo, Gregory. You know, you got a title, you're the deserve, you know, you win it. Larry wins, it's sort of like, bravo, Larry. You came back from despair in round 7 when you couldn't do anything against Gregory, and you showed your resolve and the champion round of 9.
Now, the senior championship is not a qualifier for any other championship, is it?
It could very well be. I'm not 100% sure. There is the World Senior Championships. And in fact, there's the World Senior Team Championships. America's got the gold medal, by the way. America has so the seniors that so the seniors that you've been watching these last 2 weeks are the seniors who have the gold medal, but there's also a senior individual world championship, and I don't know if these are qualifiers, do the top 2 or 3 go, or are they all qualified based by rating. So please forgive me on that. I'm not 100% sure if this is a qualifier.
Got it. Can we talk about the difference between the way these two came up in the chess world? So Larry, I heard, got into chess at age 12, as you did, so he was a bit of a late starter.
Actually, he was much younger than I. He actually started, he talks about winning the kindergarten championship of his Riverside school.
So the website?
He talks about it, and then he says that he won the kindergarten championship, but then went into a slump.
So that's probably what we're talking about, and then came out of the slump at age 12, and then very rapidly progressed to the point where he skipped over International Master straight to Grandmaster. And meanwhile, Gregory started when he was 5 years old and worked solidly for a good 2 decades before he started seeing this incredible success that he's seen in his career.
And then again, as we see Gregory on our cameras there. Gregory, of course, was born and raised in the Soviet Union, and that's where he got his chess grounding, his classical knowledge of the game. And when he first came to the Americas in 1990s, as Shabalov and other, Yermolinsky, other seniors were saying, Gregory landed like a typhoon on American shores, because he played in all of these American Opens, World Open, U.S. Open, and he won them all. So he's won a lot of tournaments, but not the title ones. Did you ever get a chance to play with either of these two players, Christian?
Yes, I did.
Yes?
Gregory killed me once, not many years ago.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
You should have not reminded me about that game. He won a very nice game with the black pieces actually a couple of years ago. So I know firsthand of his strength and his theoretical knowledge and everything that comes with that Soviet Russian school, you know. He calculated perfectly in that game and he just bested me. But I was just looking while you guys were talking at some of these lines, and they're just simply mind-boggling. I don't know what Gregory had in mind. Maybe we will ask him after the games, but check this out. After queen to b3, d6 seems to be the main move and probably the only move in the position. And now white has 2 options. They can take on b6, and this leads to this wild variation. Queen takes c7, d5, I'm trying to get the queen back, and now you're going to try to stop me from getting that queen back to e3 and saving the position with an exchange up. I take on c6, you go rook to a8, and now I take on c5. I take your knight, then I take your bishop, then you take here, and we're going to have this crazy endgame, crazy imbalance, rook and bishop and a pawn for the queen. So this was one of Gregory's options. I'm not sure if he would have went for this, because instead of queen takes b6, picking up the pawn, he can also play the move c5.
Wow.
Now that's a very nice way to defend this knight on c7, indirectly defend the knight on c7, because if you take, which is the best move, I'm going to take on b6. That's going to create what we know is a fork, right, on the queen and the rook. If you move the queen, I'm going to pick up the rook. I'm going to be winning. a4. I'm going to attack your queen as well. I don't want to go queen to b4, because after queen to b4, knight to a6, it is black who is better in this position, as white will not be able to defend this pawn on b6. If you go queen to a5, well, I have this nice pin right now set up on the queen, and you cannot take on a7. So finally, I saved my rook, right? So after the move a4, best move is take, and I suspect this is what Gregory was aiming for in this line. Take on b3, we get this endgame. Supposedly white is a little bit better, nevertheless, given the fact that he does have the doubled pawns on the b file, probably black will be within equality margins. Nevertheless, wild variations that Gregory showed he's very well prepared for, and you can see Larry right now lost in his thoughts, thinking, what just happened in game one? What am I supposed to do in the opening against this guy?
And this was this crazy knight move, knight to c7. And it appears, Sharon, that this move is actually known. The engine considers it. And for me, that was a move that really was very confounding, because it looks like the knight's not coming out. And as it happened, it didn't come out, but Gregory missed a big advantage. And he's most certainly knows that. By the way, it's
Gregory's
incredibly
getting chilly.
warm outside,
Yeah.
but in the playing
It's
hall, there's
freezing
good
in
AC,
here.
good AC.
I know, I've got the goosebumps going
I've got
even
the
in
suit
here.
on. It feels very
I know,
nice.
you guys are feeling good right now. It's just the
Exactly.
right temperature for you.
Exactly.
Now here's where we stand.
In this playoff, once again, it's a two games of rapid chess. The first game, Gregory was white. A draw was made. Larry will, in the remaining rapid game, have the white pieces. And whoever wins that game, that's it. There will be no Armageddon.
Yeah.
That's the end of the tournament, and they will be the champion.
And Armageddon, just again to explain how that works, 5 minutes for white, 4 minutes for black. Black wins with a draw if we get to that point, if there isn't a winner of this next rapid match.
Exactly. And Sharon, when you get into those Armageddon games, if you do, you think the players played rather quickly in the rapid game. You will see some good hand-eye coordination movement there. You know, rapid
And Larry
twitch fiber.
specializes in that with blitz, doesn't he?
Yes,
So
he does.
He might be hoping for that Armageddon.
Yes.
All right, well, lots more chess coming your way this summer.
It's been a
lot
summer of chess here in St. Louis as we get ready to welcome the players of the Grand Chess Tour to St. Louis for the Rapid and Blitz. That will go from August 10th to the 16th.
Yeah, then the big one, the Sinkfield Cup, August 16th through the 27th.
Then we have just our fun day. This is where we do our trash talking as Team Randy goes up against Team Rex in the ultimate moves, the showdown, on September 7th.
Yeah, and then Champion Showdown Chess 9LX, September 8th through the 10th.
That's Bobby Fischer, Fischer Random. And then the granddaddy of them all, in October, we have the U.S. and U.S. Women's Chess Championship from the 5th through the 19th. And believe me, all chess players' eyes in America, all people who love chess, will be looking at those two events.
And Annie will be there the following year, and so will Hans.
Now, the crazy thing is Annie's going to qualify herself already to this year's U.S.
for
Championship,
2021.
but she gets the golden ticket absolutely for 2022, as you said, she is the now the reigning girls champion, and the players, they're getting ready. It is a kind of a surreal thing to watch these players playing over the board with masks on. And that really must be aggravating for the players.
And Larry spoke about that as well. It's been very uncomfortable for him. But now he said he's getting used to it.
Yes. I saw,
Safety first, though.
yeah, I saw in the drawing of lots that the arbiter as well as Christian wore a mask, because today in the state of Missouri, increased restrictions for wearing the masks, and nobody wants to take any chances in the playing hall, hence
Definitely
even
not.
Christian. And Christian, you were just wearing the mask for just a short, brief while, but how did you like it indoors?
I don't like it, yes.
You don't like
I'm going to be very honest with you. I do not like wearing the mask. It's very difficult for me to breathe, but it's a necessity mandated by the state. So we have to do what we have to do.
And social distancing as well. It's not that we don't like each other.
Yeah, I miss you.
The reason we are so far away from each other right now is for the same reason, for safety.
Exactly. By the way, knight f3, the opening moves there, you have this wonderful bird's eye view of the game. And again, we have Larry playing the London system. This is this early development of his queen's bishop to
My
f4,
favorite.
yeah, the London system, against Igor Novikov. Now, I have to tell you that that did not bring Larry any joy in his game against Igor Novikov. Igor just batted his opening aside, said, this is not that good for you, and no doubt about it whatsoever, Gregory witnessed that game and said, I'm expecting that he could play the London. And anything you can tell us about this position, Christian? This early queen b6 makes sense. Are we threatening to take the pawn on b2?
Well, now with the knight on d2, it does seem like we're probably going to threaten to take that pawn on b2.
Because with the knight on c3,
exactly,
then it could bounce to b5.
And then the queen could get trapped.
Exactly.
So with the knight on d2, that queen takes b2 is definitely a threat right now, and we're going to have to wait and see how Larry chooses to defend against that. He has a couple of options. b3 is one of them. Nevertheless, you don't always want to weaken dark squares on the queen side with b3. Queen to c1, rook to b1, those are all possible moves. But I have to say, d takes c5 is also an option. And this leads
very
to a
quickly.
very sharp variation. Yes, queen takes b2.
Almost with zero hesitation.
Once again, we see Gregory's preparation on display.
The front burner. Now, sorry, Sharon, please.
I was just going to say, I wonder how many of the juniors and the girls are watching this right now. I know a couple of them were in here yesterday saying they're looking forward to this and a couple of fun games.
Absolutely.
With a lot at stake.
Yes. I want to say I have seen this way, long time ago when I was still a junior player. And this move, queen c3, was considered a really good move for black. And the idea is that white wants very desperately to play the move c2, c4. But the queen's sitting right in front of the pawn, and it's very hard for white, in this case Larry, to attack black's center. And as long as that queen is sitting on that c3 square, the move c2, c4 is not playable. Christian, in terms, is this position in your database?
I do not have the game right
Okay.
now, but I do remember because I did analyze this myself with the white pieces, and yes, it is still theory. Bishop to d3 instead of bishop to b5 is also an option with other ideas such as e4 at the right moment, but bishop to b5, pinning that knight on c6, as you can see. Well, that helps white potentially get a move such as bishop to e5 in or knight to e5, those type of ideas. And Gregory chooses to go with this move, a g6. Now, this delays, let's say, the castle for a second, but it does seem like he's going to leave the open door for that bishop on c8 to go potentially to f5. And I think this is the critical difference between g6 and e6 in this position. Very interesting, and it does seem like Gregory has knowledge to what he's doing right now, because as we can see, he has spent only 30 seconds on his clock, and his opponent right now is thinking for the past minute and a half, and he played bishop to e5.
Bishop to e5, and that's what I was saying, that I think it's really critical that white get in the move c4 and or e4 in order to attack black in the center, and that was why we saw the move bishop e5, forcing queen takes c5. By the way, Gregory chewing through white's pawn structure, that is a pawn he just captured, and he's a pawn to the good. And now Larry is thinking c4, e4, and or castles. Of those three options, do you have a fourth option?
Took on f6. Wow.
That's
but look,
a surprise.
guys, I mean, Gregory is getting what he wants in these two games so far. A theoretical battle.
Yes.
A very imbalanced theoretical battle in which, in this case, he is a pawn up.
Right.
He wants to see that because we know how well prepared he is in the opening phase of the game. So right now, we're seeing that full display. Larry doesn't feel comfortable in this position, I can tell you that. At least from a theoretical perspective. Nevertheless, being a pawn down and having the dynamic play, this is usually the way he plays as well, as you were mentioning, Yasser. He likes to swing a big axe.
Yes, he does.
And just remember, whoever wins this game, if somebody is to win this game, they win the entire tournament and they will be crowned champ.
Exactly. We will have the closing ceremonies here in St. Louis in the Central West End at the Kingside Diner at 6 o'clock. So unfortunately, I would love to say if you're in town, join us, but I do believe these are closed affairs
invitation
because of the COVID.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm in Gregory's shoes and I've just seen this move c4 landing on the board, I'm thinking to myself, I want to get out of dodge, meaning I want to play bishop out and castles as quickly as possible. On the other hand, I fully understand that castles and knight b3 is going to come with a serious threat of winning the pawn back. So Gregory is probably contemplating that he is going to take this pawn, but at the same time, he's thinking to himself, why on earth did Larry capture on f6 if not to play a move like knight e4? So he is in that state of trying to outguess his opponent in a sense. Like, okay, in this position, in this exact position, we can talk about this knight being in a pin, meaning the knight is not moving because the rook would be hanging in that case. So with the knight not moving, it's rather surprising to see Larry voluntarily capturing that knight, not playing a move like c4 or castles, takes, c4 on the board. And now Gregory, if you could tell me the clock time, Sharon, it seems to me that Gregory's taking some time right
okay, well,
about
it's almost
now.
even, to be honest.
But Larry started slowly and seems to have caught up. Ooh.
So it's 20 seconds
Now
difference.
that is a big time move. Bishop f5, trying to develop with a gain of a tempo against the rook on b1 by attacking the rook. Now on the other hand, that bishop move, I cannot imagine that Gregory wants to castle long. This could be, you know, deep theoretical preparation that I'm simply not familiar with. Bishop f5. I find this move to be a bit extraordinary. I would not have guessed this move myself.
Does anyone have the
Puzzling
advantage at the moment?
Christian, sorry?
Puzzling indeed this move bishop to f5, because right now we're seeing probably the rook come to c5. Now, the way I see this move is that you're trying to displace that rook from the b file, specifically for from the defense of the bishop on b5, but also from that attack on the pawn b7. So what this move bishop to f5 does is, if you play the natural move rook to c1, well, now you're not threatening to take on d5 anymore, because that bishop on b5 is under attack. So that gives me one move to develop my pieces, either bishop to e7 or either bishop to g7. And we see rook to c1 has been played.
Has it indeed been
Has
played?
been played, yes.
Because, like you said, leaving this bishop unprotected, there's something compelling about rook b3. Now, Sharon, you had asked a very, very salient question, because that's what chess players do all the time.
Yeah.
How do I stand?
Yeah,
said to me
exactly.
Miguel Najdorf. What's going on? Who has the advantage?
Are you favouring anyone at this point?
I I like being pawn up. That is my favorite living condition. Give me that extra pawn. So naturally, I'm going to say I would prefer to be Gregory's position, the extra pawn. Now, having said that, there's no doubt whatsoever in my mind that Larry does have compensation. How good that compensation is, well, we're still have to find out.
Yeah. Is it true that Gregory is the most active grandmaster in the country when it comes to teaching? By the way, fun fact about Gregory.
I would say yes. And it's not just the fact that he's active. It's one thing to say, I'm an active player and I have a lot of students. It's another thing to say, I am the most well-received chess coach. He gets enormous accolades from his classes and his students.
Wow.
And he's considered not only the most active chess coach, but frankly speaking, one of the very, very best in the United States, in the world.
And head of the US Chess School as well.
Exactly.
From what
I think he
hear.
works very closely with Greg Shahade and the US Chess School. By the way, captures on c4. Now, with the rook on c1, funnily enough, Gregory forced the rook to c1, where he's got the threat of a discover check picking up the queen, meaning that the queen's moving again. Are we still in the throes of theory,
We are
Christian?
not. No.
We are not. When did we leave?
We left a long time ago when that move, bishop to e5, came on the board. So after bishop to b5, we saw g6, and now castle was the main move. Or
No.
castle.
What happened was it was g6,
Correct.
bishop e5.
That bishop
queen,
e5 was a novelty.
That was the
Yes.
novelty. Prior to bishop e5, it was
Just
castles.
simply castle, yes.
And then bishop to g7.
Bishop to g7, and now I defend my pawn with the move knight to b3.
And
This has
this was
been
the
played, has
standard.
been discussed quite a few times at the top level. So
Gotcha.
I'm sure Gregory was very much well aware of what he needs to do. in that
So,
position.
so Larry was the one who instigated the pawn sacrifice with the move bishop e5.
Correct.
Then came queen takes c5, and we could, we could have potentially guessed, well, if Larry had prepared bishop takes f6, he could have potentially guessed the outcome here, right? Oops. What do we have? I've got to refresh my board.
So we have
After
a
bishop
g takes
takes
c4,
f6.
yes.
G takes f6, c4. Bishop went to f5, right?
Correct. Rook to
Rook
c1.
to c1.
Take on c4.
Yep.
Bishop takes c4. Queen to e7.
I see a rook on c4, though.
Well, wait for it. Rook to c4.
Yes?
Sorry, bishop takes c4. Queen
Okay.
to e7. Bishop to b5. Bishop to d7.
Ah,
Rook to c4.
bishop to b5. Now, this move, bishop b5, has a nasty, nasty threat not to win the pawn with bishop takes c6, but to play rook takes c6 and sacrificing the rook for an exchange. But at the end, like, for example, at the end of this little, we call it a petite combinación, a petite combination, white would end up a piece to the good. So that was why we saw the move bishop to d7. Then wait for it, you said, rook came to c4. Holy smokes, what's going on here?
And then we
Bishop
saw a6, attacking the bishop on b5. Rook to e4. And now
Whoa.
bishop to e6.
I mean, it's queen to a5. Pardon me, queen to a4, reinforcing the pressure on the diagonal, prohibiting the move a b5 because of queen takes a8. Knee-jerk response to this, because Sharon's going to ask you the question. She's been asking me, who stands better?
Who has the advantage here, Christian?
A pawn is a pawn. A pawn is a pawn, as Yasser always preaches. So a rook to c8 just feels like it's holding black's position. If I manage to go bishop to g7 castle, then I'm just going to be definitely much, much better, close to winning.
But
now,
the
white is going to
question
do everything, and queen to d7 is a perfect move as well.
The question I would have after rook c8 is bishop takes c6. The idea is if you take with the rook, which I think you would prefer to do, I do have knight d4, and I'm winning an exchange, Christian.
That is correct.
That was maybe why he chose queen d7?
Exactly. At that point, once you play bishop takes c6, I would probably have to take back with the pawn.
Exactly.
And allow you to take on a6, but he did not want to give up the pawn that he has, and he played this move queen to d7. And
by
now we're
the way,
seeing, wow, this is
now
already...
things are really, really heating up. Who has calculated better? And this, Sharon, is why we stopped when you asked us who stands better, because it is really
It
nip and
changes
tuck.
from move to move.
This move, F5, really threw down the gauntlet for Larry. Larry, with the move knight d4, wants to play the move knight takes c6. And the idea is if you take the rook, then the knight will come back, and I will win back the
this
exchange.
is a sharp find by Gregory.
Yes.
F5 move, and now we see knight takes c6, and everything is on pre right now, but black is just simply winning after rook to c8.
No.
Yes, because you have three pieces under attack. Which one are you going to try to save?
Knight takes c6.
Big money move, rook to c8 right now.
Don't take the rook, don't take the knight, don't take the bishop, but move your rook instead. See, Sharon, how tough chess is? I mean,
Yes.
and then you
it's
die.
down to 3 minutes now.
I mean,
a
oh
piece.
my gosh, rook to c8, leaving all three white pieces
If
on
he
free.
finds this move, this is going to be a tactical brilliancy by Gregory. Rook to
We
c8.
think rook on a8 to c8. I've got it on my board, and it's an extraordinary move because if you look at the analysis position, White's rook is under fire. White's knight is under fire. White's bishop is under fire. Whenever you're attacking your opponent's pieces, your first
And he played
instinct-
it!
And he's played rook c8, and I think, if I saw the camera well, that jolted Larry backwards. He was not expecting that move. He was looking at all the capture moves, not this prophylactic move, rook to c8. And the idea is that White can rescue one piece, but only one piece at a time. Three white pieces
It's
on three.
over. Guys, this is over.
No.
There's absolutely no way for Larry to get out of this. Rook to d4 feels like the natural choice, but then I will start taking your pieces. A takes b5 with an attack on the queen on a4, and you're losing another piece. At the end of the whole story, I'm just simply going to be a bishop up, and that's huge. That's not going to allow Larry to escape in any
my
scenario.
goodness.
Wow.
I think Larry overlooked the impactfulness of this move, the two moves, because rook c8 was really a hidden resource, but f5 really threw down the gauntlet. My gosh, you're saying there's no way for Larry out of this morass he's in. Oh dear. Even if he plays rook takes e6, it's not there. Sharon, please.
If Gregory wins, as you're
That's
saying,
game
he
over.
is going to be our 2021 US senior champ and his first national championship
By the way,
as well.
look at Larry. He knows it.
Very meaningful for Gregory. Now, the one thing you can't do at this moment is write your victory speech. It's not over until the score sheets are signed. The arbiters confirmed that yes, indeed, you have won. Now, Larry just played the move rook takes e6 check. Christian, does that help his situation
because
at
I'm
all?
getting another piece from you.
Pawn takes came very quickly, by the way, and now two white pieces are, as you say, under attack. That's amazing.
We're going to see something along the lines of bishop to e2. I think this is the only way to even try to keep some pieces on the board. Once black manages to exchange the queens, it's all over.
Less than a minute left for Larry.
Oh my goodness.
Gregory has double the time.
It's a winning position now for Gregory.
Do not
and he
relax,
knows it.
Gregory.
Getting a little too
relax.
comfortable there, is he?
Exactly. Again, don't write your victory speech until and
30
queen-
seconds left for Larry, though. 2 minutes and 14
Queen
seconds
B3.
for
Queen to
Gregory.
b3.
And usually in these situations, when given a choice between the bishop or knight, you take the bishop so it can't drop back to c4. He's done that. The
Now, queen to
knight came
d5
to e5.
forces the trade of the
And
queens.
now that's the move. That's the money move right there. As you were saying, if you can get the queens off the board and you're black, then you've got a winning ending.
And
He's
this is a
done it.
technical win for black. He knows it. Let's see his conversion skills.
Exactly. So now it's all about just keeping the nerves, and it's a very, very big material advantage for Gregory. We would be expecting him to castle or bring his rook down. He's played rook to c2, a move I would approve. Rook to c2, knight to d4, rook takes a2. I'm assuming
Rook to
you
b1.
have to play rook b1 to stop
But now
bishop
I can save
b4.
my pawn with a move b4.
And it's a good pawn, and Gregory agrees. And after b4, knight to, now Larry's just playing for tricks.
He needs to play fast also.
He's looking
Yeah,
at a
23
possibility
seconds.
of knight c7 check. Gregory says, hey, look, if you want to give up your knight for my bishop, you're welcome to do that. And Larry's played king d3 after king d7.
Now he's
I
trying to
don't
bring
like
the
that
other rook.
decision. Bishop c5 and the knight on b4 could very well. Whoa.
Let's bring the other rook into the attack. I like
Okay,
this.
you like this. There is rook c3 check. You're right.
Oh, that's a beautiful move.
Oh, rook takes mate. No, it's
Not
mate.
yet. The king
It's
goes in.
almost mate, but b3, b2, Larry will resign.
Oh, this is it.
b3, b2, and Larry can.
This is game over. That pawn on b3.
What a day, and what a.
What a day for Gregory, right? I feel like it's so well deserved.
It's truly.
I mean,
He
And this is it,
This is
guys.
it. This is
He's
it.
going to resign. He's going to resign. Congratulations.
And a win with the black pieces
Wow.
makes Gregory Kaidanov our.
his first national championship and
Bravo,
our
Gregory.
2021 US Seniors champion. And look at that bag, $12,000 in prize money.
Well, with the photo and the smile, it looked like he was ready to
He was
accept.
ready for this win.
Yeah, the
Quietly
trophy.
confident, right? Very,
Yes.
very humble gentleman, but
Yes.
quietly confident. And a very worthy challenger in Larry Christensen, of course. Second place for Larry, $8,000 in prize money.
Absolutely. I mean, he came back at the very end, almost caught Gregory. He did catch Gregory at the winning post. And somehow, once again, we saw, Gregory's opening skills really, really magnified. It was a very nice game one that Gregory played. He spoiled it at the end, but game two, no doubt about it, he played some really, really wonderful moves, deserving winner.
How much prep do you think he put into these rapid games?
I bet you he put his heart and soul, frankly. He'll probably
All
come
night,
here and say,
right?
like I spent a few hours, but
Yeah.
I really think he put his heart and soul. And
Did he sleep, do you think? Did he catch any
I think he
sleep? A
caught
little
some
bit?
hours.
Okay.
But we do have some announcements that we have to make as we hope that we'll get some interview with the players.
Yeah.
Tell us what.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so merchandise
Yes,
time.
please.
All right, we've got some very cool swag to show you guys. All right, that should be coming up any second now.
Okay.
There
it is.
it is, the tie-dye t-shirt. As a thank you for watching the 2021 US Junior, Girls Junior and Senior Championships, Q Boutique is offering 20% of all regular price merchandise using the code CHAMP21. That's capital CHAMP21, okay, for today only. I know we did it yesterday. We wanted to be kind and generous again today to thank you for watching. So another 20% off today. A very cool outfit right there. And Christian, you're with our champion, our big winner.
Thank you, Sharon. Yes, indeed, we are here in the studio with Grandmaster Gregory Kaidanov, the national champion. Congratulations, Gregory, and welcome back to the studio. How do you feel right now? This is your first national championship. How do you feel?
I feel good, but what I'm going to say probably will be surprising to you, but for me, tournament ended yesterday. I already mentioned here that competitive aspect today means much less for me than enjoyment from playing chess. So I kind of, decided I tied for first place, and whatever happens tomorrow, it will not change my mood. And I would say the same thing as if I would lose. So it was nice to win, but overall, like I said, it didn't matter. My mood wouldn't change if I would lose.
This is still a national championship. What does this mean? Put that into perspective in a coronation mode for your career, almost.
Okay, so I played in 18 U.S. championships. And unfortunately, I was very close many times, but never won a tournament. So, like I said, you know, it's nice to win this title, but still, you know, it probably means more for other people, for my friends and family, than it is for me.
Gregory, you came to this tournament probably the best prepared I've ever seen in this event. Today, especially in both the games, you just completely outclassed your opponent in the opening phase. How did you do that?
I did a lot of work during pandemic. I worked on my openings as well as on other parts of the game. And, but also, I have to say that there is a certain luck involved in this tournament as far as openings are concerned, because every professional player knows how, you know, you prepare a lot of your openings and an opponent plays something which you don't expect. And almost every game I played in this tournament, I was able to guess what my opponents would play. It was especially amazing in the first game, I mean in the game against Larry during a regular tournament, because, you know, he played maybe bishop opening maybe a couple times in his life, but somehow I had a sense that he's going to play it, and everything which happened on the board was pretty much my preparation. And today I was able to use preparations which I had for other opponents at different times, but yeah, it just a little bit of luck that your opponents played openings which you prepared.
Gregory, fantastic. Congratulations from me, guys.
Thank you.
Gregory, how would you sum up your experience during this tournament?
There were two parts, obviously. The first part, when I was super excited, super happy, when I had 5.5 out of 6.
Yeah.
And then there were 3 last rounds, when I already felt a little bit fatigue and a little bit of a pressure, because everyone was coming and saying, you know, how well I played, and everyone expected me to win. I don't like those situations, and I usually don't perform very well in those situations. And then I played Larry, and I had black pieces, and then I offered him, I'm 1 point ahead of him. I obviously happy to draw, but when I offered him a draw, it was a mistake. My position was a little bit better, and I shouldn't have offered a draw. And I felt guilty about that, and this sense of guilt kind of carried to the next game, because when I played white with Alexei Ermolinsky, I felt like draw probably would give me a title, but because I felt guilty that I didn't play against Larry, I felt I have to play for a win. And I maybe pushed too hard and lost this game, and then I was down, obviously.
Well, you made it through anyway. Are you going to celebrate tonight your first national championship title?
No, I guess I'm going to celebrate with my wife when I get back home. That will be the real, and with my kids, I'm sure they will be, I mean, via video, because they all live, yeah, in
They must be
Portland,
so
Oregon.
excited right now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, Gregory, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Very, very heartfelt to you and your family. A lot of people will enjoy your victory, as you say, a little bit more than yourself, but crime and punishment. So you committed a crime, as Dostoevsky would say, by offering a draw in a superior position. Your punishment was that round 8 result, and then suddenly the door was left open for Larry to tie. I know this is really going to surprise you, but the game 1, his b5 was bad, and you had a winning position.
No, I knew that. I knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it. It just that, you know, I was, I wouldn't say I was nervous. Actually, I wasn't nervous, but I wanted it just to be over as quickly as possible. And so I played too quickly, and right after the game finished, I felt like, yeah, knight g5 move I played was bad. I probably should have played knight d2, I guess, and...
Queen e3. But no, what I was going to surprise you with was that he missed a winning moment in game 1. I couldn't believe it either.
I mean, after queen b3, you mean?
No, it was the moment the black queen is on b2. He just played knight c6. He attacked your pawn on d4. You played e3,
Right.
queen b2, rook fc1,
Right.
and then the game was drawn, as I would have expected. But, well, you know, before all the critics jump on you and tell you what you missed and stuff like that, Christian showed to the people that there was an amazing move, knight b4, and Larry would have turned the tables. Instead, he played queen b7, Christian, and that would, well, I'm stealing your thunder, in fact.
Well, I don't think I will be able to get that position back on the board. Nevertheless, you remember when he took on b2 that pawn, and I believe you played the move e3.
No. When he took on b2, I played rook fc1.
And now knight to b4. Yes, the pawn was on e3. He's threatening to go knight to d3.
Right.
And
right.
the position, the pieces are a bit tangled up for
Right. So if I play rook a b1, he plays queen a3.
d2. Queen d2.
Oh, I didn't see that move.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the
That's a
blind
move I
spot move, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
There will be mistakes in a rapid game.
10-minute game. There is no
Yeah.
question that, you know, lots of mistakes are going to be made. And yeah, I thought Larry should be a big favorite because, you know, he's very good speed player, better than me definitely. And so, you know, like I said, you know, I was ready for any result. So.
But that second game, Gregory, that move f5, just leaving all the pieces on pre. Knight takes e6, and now your opponent has 3 pieces on pre, yet you don't capture any of them. You play the move rook to c8. Did you see that when you played the move f5? And I think it was at this point.
I don't think, you know, I mean, I knew I had 2 moves after knight takes c6. Rook c8, but I also could take a rook on e4, and then knight d4, a takes b5, queen takes a8, queen c8. And, you know, I calculated that far, and so he's going to win his pawn back, but I have a bishop pair, so even if he will win both b5 and e4, I should be fine with the bishop pair. So I saw this line, and this kind of gave me confidence that that's okay. And then, you know, when the position occurred on the board, I started calculating rook c8. Wow, and suddenly it works.
It works. And it just finishes the game on the spot. There's no way out for white. Incredible.
Yeah.
Once again, Gregory, our hearty congratulations. It was very, very, very nice on behalf of the St. Louis Chess Club and Scholastic Center. Well done.
So well deserved. Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
A huge victory. Let's take a look at the final standings. So you saw the champ himself right there, Gregory Kaidanov, in first place. He is the senior champion 2021.
$12,000. Larry Christensen, our, well, I can't say co-winner, but he tied for first. As Gregory said, $8,000 richer.
Yep. Alex Yemelinsky with 6,000, as well as Fishbein.
Alexander Fishbein had a nice tournament and that tied for third. Igor Novikov at 4,000 along with James Tarjan.
Yep. Joel Benjamin will be taking $3,000, and Shabalov 2,500, as is Leonid and Melixet.
Very, very nice. And a big shout out. Nice prize fund for these senior players. It was a kind of reunion for all of them. They played each other over the course of so many decades, and it's sort of like a time to catch up and say, hey, how you doing? What have you been doing during the pandemic?
Yeah.
And it was
and we
really
saw them
nice
bonding
moment.
before and after games as well.
Exactly.
And through the magic of television, let's enjoy the last 30 seconds of that game, that winning game.
This is the nice move, that intermezzo move, rook c3 check, the king came forwards, rook takes d2 with check, the king, Larry's king is forced up the board, but here's the problem. There's a runaway pass pawn on b4, and Gregory says, with this pawn, I'm going to promote my pawn to a queen. I'm going to play the move b2, and that's going to be followed by rook c1. Larry, recognizing there's nothing he can do about that, offered his hand in not only resignation, but also with congratulation.
Yeah, and you know, Yasser, something very important. You know what this means, right?
You
know
guys
what
were
this
very lucky.
means.
No. Look. I chose the guy that got us to the ball. Take me to the ball on time. That's all I've got to say.
Christian, what do you think? 2 of our picks, right?
Not
2
bad.
out of 3. And
Not
Yasser,
bad.
how many for you?
I got 1.5. And I'm sticking to the
All right,
story.
we'll give you that. We'll give you that.
But you were both great competitors, and I also want to say, Sharon, you got thrown into the deep end of the swimming pool here on this one. You come from the world of broadcasting, and you said, I'll take up the challenge
I did.
of commentating and hosting a chess show. And it's sort of like, whoa, that's going to be really, really hard. But I have to congratulate you. I think you did extraordinarily well.
Thank you.
Speaking on behalf of Christian and I, we're 2 very good grandmasters. We've worked a lot with a lot of people, and you did wonderful. So thank you very, very,
you
very
guys
much.
are so sweet. It was
Well
so
done.
much fun. It really was. And you helped me through it, and you made me feel so welcome and comfortable. And you had me laughing like half of the broadcast.
No, that's it.
And now I have even more of a love of chess. So.
Exactly.
All right, well, more chess coming
our
away
way.
before we say goodbye.
The summer of chess continues here in St. Louis as the Grand Chess Tour, the 4th and 5th legs of the Grand Chess Tour resume. The St. Louis Rapid Blitz kicks it off August 10th through 16th.
Followed by the big one, the Sinkfield Cup, August 16th to the 27th.
The trash-talking one-day event of ultimate moves where it's Team Randy versus Team Rex. Come with every kibitz you can, all your wits about you for September 7th.
Followed by Champion Showdown Chess 9LX, September 8th through the 10th.
And that, of course, that Showdown Chess 9LX is 960 Fisher Random.
Okay, and then the US and US Women's Chess Championship, October 5th through the 19th. The big ones right there. Lots of chess coming up.
Christian, will you be here for these championships?
We will wait and see.
Only time will tell. I was
Only
waiting
time
for
will
the
tell.
time
Only
will
time
tell.
will tell.
Yasser, you know the line. Only time will tell, Yasser. We will see.
Very good.
One more look at our 3 champions, though.
Let's do it,
In
Sharon.
all their glory. Let's take a look. There she is, International Master Annie Wang, the champ of the U.S. Girls Junior Championship. $3,000 to her name now, and that $10,000 scholarship.
And the junior Sharon.
It's my guy Hans Niemann. Yep, the juniors champion with a prize money of $6,000.
Also with the same scholarship from Dwayne Barber and U.S. Chess Shows. And now our Legends champion.
Yes, and then our guy Gregory, so well deserved for all of them. $12,000 for the U.S. senior champ.
And that champion smile. So once
That is
again,
the smile of a champion. You are absolutely right.
on behalf of the St. Louis Chess Club and Scholastic Center, it was our pleasure. Thank you for sharing both your weekend, I want to say, and Playoff Monday. So it was really, really a lot of fun.
It really was. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We loved it. Hopefully you did too. I'm sure you did. And we'll see you next time around. Bye, guys.
This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club. Any reproduction or distribution of this content without the express written consent of the St. Louis Chess Club is prohibited.